Okay, so here's another conversation that I wanted to have, and I've been trying to make this video for probably quite some time, but it took a lot of different steps in order to do that. Obviously, a lot of shooting and a lot of content as well, but finally, somebody mentioned something on social media saying that, hey, we do enjoy all the camera videos, we do enjoy all the editing videos, but what we want to hear about is more about the process of photography, process of street photography, and more so the process of shooting street portraits. Now, listen, guys, I don't claim to be a master on YouTube by any stretch of the means, but I wanted to sit back and have this conversation with you. I'm a disorganized mess, so I do have a cell phone here with all my notes for the things that we're going to talk about. So it's going to be a lot of cuts and clips in this video, so just bear with me. I'm unscripted. I'm like a one-take Johnny here where I just get in front of it and I just talk to you guys about, these subjects. So here we go. Dive in. Let me access my notes. Okay, so, street photography, street portraits. And let me stop the video because the battery's about to die. Okay, we're back. Like I told you, I am not good at this YouTube thing. I'm literally running and talking about this stuff, and my Ninja Atomos 5 battery just crapped out on me. So, street photography portraits, probably the number one anxiety-inducing thing you can do on the streets. Everybody that I've ever talked to, everybody that I've ever given advice to, really doesn't have a problem being out on the streets and shooting, but when it comes to taking pictures of strangers, it causes them to freeze dead in their tracks. And it's understandable. You're literally approaching somebody that you haven't met before. You're asking them for something in return for basically nothing, right? And you're going to find that when you do approach people, sometimes they do ask for money. And you got to kind of spin that, and there's different ways to get out of that. But a lot of this is just, it's not an easy thing to do, but I feel like it's one of those things where I equate it to, the pool is really cold until you dive in and get used to it, and then it warms up. You have to just jump in wholeheartedly and just start doing it. And the more and more you do it, the less and less it's really going to bother you anymore. And it's going to cause you less anxiety. And when you have less anxiety, you're going to be better at these things, and you're not going to throw off that negative vibe. So the next thing that I would talk about is a couple things on how to set yourself up for success when shooting street. Not so much street, but street portraiture. Use the right gear. Now, that's kind of subjective, right? What is the right gear? Well, I wouldn't approach somebody with a huge DSLR and a 70-200 telephoto lens asking for a street portrait. It may throw them off. Larger cameras and larger lenses tend to cause people to be alarmed. I don't make up the rule. It's just probably a national study in photography, streetwise edition somewhere. I don't know. I'm just telling you that if you roll up with a DSLR with a 70-200 white lens on it and a tripod, and you ask to take somebody's street photography portrait, they're probably going to give you a hard no on that, and they're going to look at you like you're a creep and walk away. I could be wrong. For those of you that shoot huge telephoto lenses on the street, I apologize. But I got to go with what works for me, and you guys tuned in to hear what I have to say. So for me, I use a smaller camera, whether it be something like an X100V, Fujifilm Xe4, a Ricoh GR. You want to step up your game a little bit. You're like a M10s, you're like a, Q series is great. With that, you got to realize that some of your focal lengths are going to be a little different too, and they're going to lend themselves to different type of images. So if you're shooting, say for instance, a Leica Q series or even an X100 V series, you're looking at a 35mm/28mm, depending on, whatever camera it is. So those kind of focal lengths really lend themselves better for environmental portraits. So capture some of the street, capture some of the doorway, the background, the actual movement out on the street, and show that subject in their environment. You're really going to do better off with something like a 50 if you're going to try to get like a torso or a portrait like where it's just chest up. That's where I would kind of pull out the 50. So you really have to kind of make that decision before you head up to your subject. So now what does that mean, right? So setting yourself up for success. So if you already know that, this subject is interesting, you've targeted that person and you want to get a picture of them, what kind of picture do you want? Do you enjoy their entire outfit? Do you like the clothes that they're wearing from head to toe? Or are you just more interested in their facial expression or their hairstyle or a hat that they're wearing? That would kind of dictate maybe what lens you might want to approach them with. And like I said, have all this done beforehand. There's nothing worse than asking for somebody to take their portrait and them giving you a green light and then you fiddling around with your settings and your camera and your lens because you didn't do your homework, you didn't set up properly, and now you're taking their time. See, that's the thing that you have to remember too, is that you're asking something from them. They're just going about their day. They're out and about. They could be on their lunch break. They could be late for an appointment. They could be going to a dinner date, and you're literally stopping them in their tracks and basically asking them to take a picture. Now, if you're fast, the whole interaction could take a second. If they have more time, then you could go into different techniques. But if you're not set up, all you're going to do is cause frustration, and it's going to turn the whole situation into a negative kind of incident. So I would definitely have your camera set up, have your shutter speed set up, have a general ISO selected for the area that you think you're going to capture them. Have different areas that you think you may want to place your subject in, and I'll get into that in a second. Have your lens choiced, have your autofocus, if your camera has autofocus set, have your face detection or eye detection on and ready to go if you think you're going to use that kind of method to take the picture. But just have these tools and have everything set up to go. That way, when you get that strong yes, you're just ready to go. The other thing that I would tell you is realize that you're not doing anything wrong. Now, I can't speak for every country out in the world, but in the US, you're allowed to take a picture of somebody in public. If you're on a public street, there's no law against taking a photo of someone. There are certain cliches and certain kind of taboos with people. For me personally, I do not take pictures of homeless. I do not take pictures of homeless. I do not take pictures of children unless I can see that it is okay by the parents. They see me there. They see me interacting with the community. And as a whole, it's a joyous thing, and they can see I snap a picture of their child and I show them the picture or whatever it is. But for me, I kind of tend to weigh. There's so many subjects, and again, this is personally for me. There's so many subjects that I can take a picture of that I just don't need to. I could be picky, okay? I could be picky about what I want to take pictures of. And again, I just don't take pictures of homeless because I don't want to exploit their situation. It's one thing if you were taking images of them to kind of raise awareness and you're working on a project, then I would say by all means do what you need to do to raise awareness to kind of, show what's going on in your area and to maybe help the situation. But if you're just using it for your own gain, I'm going to say that that's a hard no. Definitely a hard no from me. But again, when I say set yourself up for success, realize that you're not doing anything wrong, and that's going to go also towards the way you approach people. If you're open and honest and you just go up to somebody and you kind of, kick off a conversation, be open and honest about your intentions. Hey, I'm a street photographer. I love taking pictures of people. I love documenting everyday life in the city, everyday life in the neighborhood. And, you're really interesting. I love your look. I love your hair. I love your jacket. I love the shirt that you're wearing. Wow, what a cool color combination. Yo, that looks awesome. Be honest. You got to pick out something. There's definitely a reason why you chose that subject to take a picture of. So tell them about that. Let them know. You're probably going to bring a smile to their face. They're probably going to kick off a conversation with you, and that gives you an in. All you need is a little crack, and if you can get a crack, you can wiggle your way into a nice conversation. And more often than not, you're going to get a strong yes to take a photo. For instance, a couple subjects, I'll throw them up. This subject right here, I saw him. He was looking down at his cell phone, and I really enjoyed his jacket. I loved his hairstyle, and I loved, he was well dressed, and he was just kind of against this wall. And I just said, yo, my man, I like your jacket. Do you mind if I take a portrait of you? And he didn't really interact with me, but he's like, yeah, go ahead, man. I don't care. So that gave me a green light. I took a straight on photo of him. I took a photo off to the side. And I kind of just worked my way around him. I didn't disturb him because I could see he was just engrossed in his cell phone, and I didn't want to bother him. And again, I'm not trying to take from him. I'm just trying to get what I need without being so overly, on top of somebody. I don't want to do that. I don't want to disturb the scene. So that worked for him. But then there's other situations like this guy here, where, he owns a local pizza shop, and I saw him kind of working on his store. It's off season and there was nobody around, and I went up there and I said, hey, I really like the way your store is painted. I like the blue and the green. I like the reds, and I like everything about it. And he struck up a conversation with me, and he was a super nice gentleman, told me about, surviving, the storm on Sandy, and his whole store got wiped out and he had to rebuild. Talked to me about how many years he's been in business, talked to me about having cancer, talked to me about a bunch of stuff. And I said, yo, let me get your portrait. And he goes, what do you want to take a photo of me for? And he kind of just joked around. And I said, you kidding me? Look at everything you've been through. Like, you're in front of your store, you rebuilt. Like, you should be proud of that. Let me get a portrait of you for it. And he was like, okay with it. And he just, stared at the camera, but he gave me a yes. And I got that portrait and I sent them off a print. And he was super happy about it at the end of the day. And that gets back to my other thing. If you're going to take something from someone, give something back, okay? They're giving you an okay to take their photo. Give them something back. Offer to follow them on social media or on Instagram. Offer, if they're in front of their business, tag their business on social media or Instagram. Send them an email with the file. Take the picture and send them the photo that you took of them. They may even buy a print, but if they don't, at least send them the file so they can enjoy it. Tag them. I think I might have just said that because, again, I'm horrible at YouTube. But at the very least, show them the back of the camera if you're shooting digitally, and look at what you did. So you can show them kind of what you're about. Don't just take from them, get what you want, and leave, okay? Engage with somebody. Learn their story. Talk to them about, who they are as a person. That's part of what street photography is. It's not just about, forcing yourself on a scene and being like, I'm going to get this and I'm going to get that, and take and take and take and take. It's not about that. It's about immersing yourself within the environment and watching the natural flow of events while you're on the street, and forming relationships and talking with people and learning about people. And I guarantee that you're both going to walk away with a really, really positive experience if you approach it in a way where you're trying to learn more about people and their story in life. Again, I can't stress how important it is to find one thing that will allow you that opening. For instance, this gentleman here in Washington Park, I saw him. He was just fiddling around with what I believe was a joint, pretty much a joint. And he was just about to spark it up. And I don't even know if he was about to or not, or he was getting ready to. But I'm like, yo, spark that thing up. Let me get a picture. And this is what I was left with. And I absolutely love this image. And again, it shows that subject in his environment doing something. The smoke just created an atmosphere. But again, I just approached him. I saw that he was about to do something, and I read the scene. That's another thing, okay? That is definitely a term that is used, basically, it's streetwise. And what does streetwise mean? Streetwise means that, you can read the scene in front of you. You can read the city. The city is a living organism. The streets are, living and breathing. And if you tell me that they're not, I'm going to call you a liar. You have to learn how to read the situation. There are people that you approach, and then there's people that you don't approach, and you have to be safe and you have to be smart, and you just don't run up to somebody because you find them interesting. You have to kind of study that subject for a microsecond and have to realize that, is there an opening? Can I strike up a conversation with this person in a friendly way, or am I going to invite trouble into my life? So you have to kind of be smart about things. But again, you can see people that you can walk up to, and then you can see people that clearly maybe they're disturbed, and maybe you should just kind of keep your distance. It's not that important to get that photo. But just be streetwise. Read the scene, read the streets, read the fact that something is going to happen, and you got to kind of position yourself in a way where you're going to be able to strike a great photograph. And with that being said, is like, again, when you ask people, you're going to get pushback. Sometimes you're going to get people like, oh, can I have money? Can I have money? And you got to have to joke around like, hey, what am I paying you for? What, are you famous? Like, you got to make a joke, right? So they're hustling you just as much as you're kind of hustling them to get that photo. And it's a give and take, right? But at the end of the day, if they can see that you're just honestly just a photographer out creating art, you're probably going to get the photo. This subject here, he was awesome. He was sitting there, he had his shirt off, and he had all these beads around him. And I later found out that he was a priest or a holy man of some sort. Super nice guy, struck up a conversation with him and got a couple portraits of him. And it happens to be one of my favorite photographs. And again, it just all started off with a smile. A smile can go a long way, a smirk. If you lock eyes with me and I see a little something that I find interesting, I'm going to be able to get that photo from you. And that's just not being cocky. That's just being definitely confident in my honesty and my ability to kind of talk with people and just kind of bring them out of their shell. You're going to have to do that. If you really want to have a nice photograph, you're going to have to talk to people. So the sooner you get your feet wet, the sooner that the pool warms up and, you get used to swimming in a nice warm water. You're going to just have to dive in there and you're going to have to do these things. The other thing too is, again, I go back to, setting yourself up for success. Let's just say you like a color combination and you see a backdrop. Sometimes you're going to see somebody and they're going to kind of be like, what do you want to take my photo for? No, I'm good. I'm not going to tell you just to walk away right away. Don't take that first no. Now, don't be pushy. Don't, in their face. But, kind of, I don't want to say beg, but be like, oh, come on, man. It's going to be awesome. Look at this. I love the way I love the fact that you got this red shirt on. It looks so good with your hat. It looks awesome. Yo, come here. Look, check this out. I'm going to put you in front of this wall. It's going to look amazing. And maybe you direct them over to like a really, cool brick wall or some graffiti or, a complementary color or some kind of juxtaposition that's already been laid out, and that right subject comes along, man. You don't want to just let that go. You want to try to get it as much as you can. At the end of the day, if you're going to get a no, it's going to turn into a hard no. But there are hard yeses, there are hard no's, and then there's the in-between. And the in-between you can kind of work with, right? If you're getting a I don't know, maybe, you can get a hard yes. If you're getting a I don't know, man, it's not for me, man. I don't like photos. You can kind of work with that and be like, oh, come on, it's so cool. You're going to like this. Oh, check it out. Let me just get one. Let me get one real quick, right? Trust me, you're going to dig it. And you probably get it. But at the end of the day, you might be like, yo, dude, leave me alone, bro. And you're going to be like, all right, man, it is what it is. Just go with it. The other thing is tell a story. If you do get a hard yes, right? Don't just take one shot. Don't rush it. Enjoy the moment. Talk to them while you're taking photos, right? You just don't want a photo of them smiling or them being serious. Maybe you want a photo of them laughing, a photo of them maybe looking off to the side, maybe a photo of them while they're talking, but tell a story with that subject, right? For instance, take a picture of, take a straight on, portrait, maybe take an entire portrait of their entire wardrobe or their outfit that they're wearing. Maybe take a picture of something that's interesting. Maybe they have a really cool gold chain on, or maybe they have really nice rings or tattoos or something that they're carrying, and maybe just single in on that and get a close-up of that. And at the end of the day, you can kind of make a 3 or 4 image montage of what this subject is. And almost in a collage of photos, you could tell their story. So don't just be so quick to get that image and then just call it a day and run away. Spend some time with them and, work that scene a little bit, work that subject a little bit, and get what you need from them in a gentle way, and then thank them for their time. Don't just walk away and be like, yeah, cool, man. Thank them for their time. Tell them that you hope to see them again. Ask them if they are always out in the area, and we'll catch up. And tell them that you appreciate them too. Okay? It goes a long way to, again, establishing a relationship. You got to remember, they're about their business, they're about their day, but they may remember running into you. And then if they see you again on the streets, they're going to remember you. And maybe you get another photo, maybe you create a series, and then maybe you learn more about them and their friends and where they come from. And again, it just opens up an avenue of blending in with your environment and being streetwise, being part of this element that you enjoy so much. Then there's that way to do it. That's basically if you're going to approach people. But then there's the other way too, where, you're not going to approach somebody, but it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong, right? So, there's often times where sometimes there's a language barrier or sometimes there's a culture barrier. No, I can't talk. I do that a lot. Sometimes there's that. I find that a lot, like, again, when I walk in Chinatown. I don't speak Chinese or Mandarin. I don't. Okay, they're great people, but those people are out. They're doing their thing. They don't want to be bothered. They're about their business. They're hustling. They got no time to sit there and take a photo for you. Some people do, some people don't, but that doesn't mean that you can't get a photo. So what I'll do is I'll approach. I won't be sneaky. I think that people really can tell that when you're kind of circling around and you're kind of like not really being 100% honest with your intentions, and you get a little closer, and then you get a little closer, and then you kind of angle a little bit, and then you kind of get like kind of sneaky with the camera, yet you don't take the photo, and you people can read off of that vibe, and it creates negativity. If you're going to take the image, just go and take the image. Walk right up, get close, get to where you want to go, work your focal length, and snap the photo. If they catch you, they catch you. What's the worst that's going to happen? Did you take my photo? Yeah, I took your photo. You can't take my photo. Yes, I can take your photo. Kind of in the instance of this gentleman here. Okay. I took his photo. He didn't like it. He told me I couldn't. I told him I could. He didn't ask me to delete it. I just said, have a nice day, and I walked away. A little bit confrontational. If somebody's really that adamant about it and going to get in your face, it's not worth getting your equipment destroyed or getting into a fight or an argument about. Just delete the image. It's not a big deal. But you just know that you're allowed to take photos out on the street, okay? Doesn't mean everybody's going to like it. But again, just be honest with what you do. Yeah, I took your photo. Why? I'm a street photographer. I document life, man. I like everything out on the street. You looked interesting. I liked where you were. I liked where you sit. I took your photo. He still may be upset about it, but at least you explained yourself. And then maybe you might be able to go into all the methods that we just talked about. Yo, man, where are you from? Are you from here? Is this like your hangout? Do you come here all the time? Like, what do you do? Like, I found you interesting. Like, tell me about yourself. Like, what's going on? Like, and I'm telling you, you might find a way in, and then that negative reaction or that interaction that started out negative can end up being positive. Okay. And maybe you end up getting that set of images that I just talked about. Listen, at the end of the day, this stuff is not easy. It takes a lot of experience, and you're just going to have to keep going out and just trying. Don't be afraid of failure. You're going to fail more times than you succeed, but you're going to learn every time from your failures, right? And then before you know it, it's just going to be like second nature, and you're just going to get out there and you're going to do it like some of the people that you see. It's definitely a niche in street photography. It doesn't mean that you have to do it. It doesn't mean that you're not a serious street photographer if you don't take street portraits. I'm not an in-your-face photographer. I'm not a guy with a flash that sticks my camera 2 inches from your nose and takes your photo. I think, to me, that's inviting problems. I've never really had any negative interactions with people out on the streets because of the way I come across. I'm respectful, yet somewhat deliberate in what I want to do. I'm confident in what I want to do. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to cause a problem with somebody. But again, if this is not your thing, this is not your thing. But you clicked on the video, so I'm sure you kind of want to maybe learn about taking photos of people on the street. I'm not saying my way is the way to do it, but again, Joe D'Agostino Photo YouTube channel, you clicked on it, right? So this is how I do it, guys. This is what works for me, tips and tricks. I'd love to hear from you. If you have tips and tricks that you like to use on the street, please, by all means, fire away the comments. Again, this is not the only way to skin a cat, so you can leave all those comments out. I really don't care to read them. I get it. This is just the way that I do things, but it would be awesome to hear the way that you guys do these things too. So, fire away. Again, cliche, like, YouTube statement, like and subscribe, hit the bell thingy, and we'll call it a day. Hope you guys like the images. Hope you guys like this kind of, atmosphere and this kind of talk. And we'll definitely do more about this kind of stuff in the future. If you guys have ideas about what you would like to hear from me, please fire away. More than happy to talk about this stuff with you guys. Thanks again. Later.